phone lines this morning from the Billings Fire Department. Cameron McCamley. Good morning, sir. How are we doing this morning?
Scott, I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Great. A little moisture last night. Not too much. It's nothing compared to yesterday. So we're supposed to kind of have this until Sunday. And then finally, knock on wood, we get into the 70s. So it's going to be kind of a nice Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we kind of dip down into the 60s, but still nice warm weather.
Absolutely. Well, and we'll see it. It's as far as the public safety world, it seems like our business is non-weather dependent.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have a little nicer weather, but business as usual for us.
Most organizations have a mission statement. What's the mission of the Billings Fire Department?
Scott, our mission since the inception has been, life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. And the first two kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, we're here for the public. We work for the public. We do everything we can to make sure that they're trying to have the best day possible, even on their worst day. And then, as far as incident stabilization, again, that's trying to, if there is an incident, trying to keep it to a sole incident. And you see that a lot of times with structure fires, to where we're trying to, even though we can't a lot of times prevent the initial fire from happening, we're trying to keep it from spreading to whether it's additional structures or anything like that. And then property conservation, again, we work for the public. So if we can, if you're having a bad day, we try and salvage as much as possible. Fire is amazingly damaging, but again, we're trying to save any memories or anything we can possibly for you.
This throw out some numbers. I think they're just going to blow people's minds. The type of incidents in 2021, quite a few.
Yeah, so we've over the last 10 years or so, we've had a trajectory. Not straight up, but significantly. We've gone up a little over 60% in the last 10 years, with a new record last year as far as our department of 18,777 incidents. But then if you couple that with we had a little over 23,000 responses. So incidents, or that's calls for service. So 18,000 times someone called for service. But then 23,000 times there was an engine or a piece of apparatus going to an incident, because some of those incidents require multiple pieces of apparatus and multiple personnel to go ahead and essentially solve that problem, if you will.
So in the year 2021, there was a total of 447 fires that were either structure, auto, wildland, and the EMS, they went out in about 9,339 calls. Now, back in September of last year, the city of Billings, the residents passed the safety mill levy. A little bit of that affected the fire department. Let's talk about the part that affected the fire department.
Absolutely. So with the mill levy, the big push with the mill levy, at least for the fire side, was for the MRT, or the medical response teams, And the goal with those is to have staffed units that their sole purpose in life was to go on EMS calls. And the goal is to provide essentially the scalpel, if you will, to the EMS system, to be able to provide the most appropriate resource to where, hey, if you don't need maybe a fire engine and a 3-person crew, but maybe a 2-person crew in a pickup, for example, could solve that problem. That's what we're going to do. The level of service, though, is identical. It's just we're trying to, one, save wear and tear on our big trucks, and then two, again, provide the most appropriate level of service. And then the third part about that, which is the part kind of we're most excited about, is to be able to have units in service to where when we do have those incidents that take 3, 4, and 5 fire engines to solve the problem, we still have other units in service that can take care of EMS calls. So the citizens are still getting the high level of service that they've come to expect from the Billings Fire Department. There's not a lag, which sometimes there can be if we have 1 or 2 big incidents happening at a time.
There's 7 fire departments here in the city of Billings, and I think I was talking. It was about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer, with former Fire Chief Rash. And in the Heights area, there's a certain level of response time, and the fire department up in the Heights, because there's such a big distance up there, was a little bit longer than national standards, right?
Yeah, so they're up in the heights, yeah. So there's one fire station up in the heights, and that station's responsible for all of the heights. And when that station is out on a call, then we have to pull resources from downtown up into the heights to then do that, and that leads to those longer response times. And again, that's why we were so fortunate when the citizens passed the public safety levy, because our mission is to put additional units, those MRTs. Up in the heights to, again, facilitate some of those response times. So hopefully we can, again, provide additional staffing and also reduce some of those kind of time on task so we're not pulling units from downtown. We've already got additional units in the heights. Now, that being said, we were just talking about the weather, if we can predict ahead of time that there's going to be significant weather, for example, when we had a foot of snow in 12 hours here recently, we staffed additional units and we put additional units in the heights to reduce those response times. So if we can predict ahead, we absolutely will. But on a daily basis, that's the real goal with those MRTs, is to reduce some of those response times.
So part of your job is to drive the big red truck, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So my official rank, I'm an engineer paramedic. So yeah, I drive the fire engine and make sure everybody gets there safely. And then if we do show up on an incident, for example, a fire, I'm the guy that makes sure that everybody on the end of the hoses has the appropriate water and tools that they need to facilitate whatever they're doing.
So what do you feel like when you're going down the road, the sirens are going and everything, and people just don't get out of your way?
You know, I tell you what, Scott, our biggest thing is we just, again, we're asking for permission to I guess, if you will, work through traffic in as expedient a manner as possible. But that being said, we want people to do it safely. So, for example, if we're pulling up to an intersection and everything is blocked, there is no emergency that I want somebody to put themselves in jeopardy or risk trying to run through the intersection. You know, if we need to, we'll stop. The fire engines all have what they call an opticom, which sends out an infrared signal to change the lights to green. So even if the intersection's full, we'll stop, we'll shut the siren off, but we'll leave the lights on in an effort to try and change that to where once we get a green light and traffic can start moving, we'll start doing that. So I would say that's my biggest fear, is just somebody feeling compelled to run through a red light, and I just don't want anybody to put themselves in jeopardy. So I would say, so don't do that one. Just wait. We'll get there. It might take another 2 or 3 seconds, but we'll make it safe as possible. So
where do I buy a light like that so I can just have it going there so the lights all turn green for me?
Oh, I tell you what, it sounds like a perfect scenario. They're about 50-50. They're definitely not 100%. The sun really does a number on them for the most part. A real sunny day, they don't work so well.
So what do you, Cameron, I'm going to throw this question out to you. It's not on the sheet here or anything like that. But what do you think the folks' biggest misconception out there is of the Billings Fire Department?
You know, and it's funny that you bring that up. Scott's been trying to change over the last, I don't know, probably 15 or 20 years. The fire department, even though our main mission and our name still says fire department, really we're an all hazards agency. We really are. And by all hazards, I mean, we do everything from obviously fires, EMS. That's the number one thing that we do is EMS, rescue, and then anything we provide any service possible. So if you can think of it, we go on, the number one EMS call we go on is falls, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if you're elderly and fall and can't get off the floor, that's an emergency. That's a rescue. And so I would say, as far as any more, the fire department is all encompassing. If you call 911 and you don't need somebody, either you don't need somebody arrested or there's not somebody committing a crime, you're probably going to get a fire engine, because we're going to show up and we're going to try and do everything we can and bring all the resources to solve any of your problems. Scott, the other thing I would say is, anymore, the fire service is a very specialized technical agency. I mean, we have multiple technicians certified in hazardous materials, confined space, rope rescue, high angle rescue, anything under the sun. We've got 30 paramedics, which the paramedic is the highest level of EMS service. So when you're calling 911, we always joke you're getting a bunch of knuckle draggers, but anymore that's not the case. We're very well-educated, highly specialized units that are there just honestly to solve your problem. Really, that's kind of our mission in life.
Every Monday night I watch these two shows. They're on Fox TV, 911 and 911 Lone Star. How actual are these shows? Towards what the fire departments really are. Are they kind of out there a little bit, or?
There is the concept is there, but there's a lot of Hollywood. There's a lot of Hollywood from the fire and EMS side. I've tried a few times to watch them, and they take a lot of liberties to what they would do, and again they're trying to sensationalize. There's a lot of things that they sensationalize that we would necessarily do differently.
Sure.
That's maybe not as Hollywood, yeah. But the concept is sound. But yeah, they take some creative liberties for sure.
Well, Juan, thank you for coming on this morning, sir.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Scott. I appreciate the time.
It is 7:24, 24 minutes past the hour, 7 o'clock here at Good Times and Great Oldies, 98.1 KBEAR.